if you make the same promise that I did a decade ago, that you're going to act off these principles and believe these principles result in the future and all the dreams that you've ever wanted to have and act off them and never quit acting off them, you'll have it at some point in the future. So we're going to touch on this one again, which is Napoleon's Promise, which is if you can forget all your problems and relax, which is not easy, always easy to do, right? If you will decide definitely what you want most in your entire lifetime and write it down on paper that someone else can come read this and clearly understand it, you can actually have it. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So we're the only thing in this world. No animal, no creature, no physical object, nothing else in this world has the power of conscious thought to direct its thoughts where it wants it to go, except us. And until you understand that and wield that power directly towards what you want in the future, you will never have it. And you'll let other people do this for you. The media will do this for you. They will control you by fear and greed and all these different things they control us with. So the important thing right there is it says nothing about education. It's a belief of the thoughts and action behind them. This is why you see people with no formal education have massive success. It does not have anything to do with education. It has to rely solely on whatever your mind feeds upon, it attracts to you, which is where a lot of the law of attraction and that type of understanding stems from this. You will have the future you visualize and think about all the time, good or bad. So second principle here. And so what I did was I went through and created my definite purpose and I wrote these down. I actually did. I was living in my sister's bedroom of all things. I had to move back into her room because my room was storage at my parents' house. I had a twin size bed and a bar stool as my desk. Literally, that's where my journey started. And so I put on the wall, just like I showed you guys, I still have on my wall today, these principles. Now, the second one right there is the Mastermind Alliance. Now, there's a lot of confusion over the Mastermind, which is what we're on right now. This stems, everything that you hear these mastermind calls, this is stemming from what is truly a real mastermind. These are just meetings, honestly, what people do when they call mastermind calls. The real Mastermind Alliance is the amplification of leverage and results from a shared goal and thought process across multiple, more than one or many, working for the same goal that they're trying to attain. So on the left, you guys can see if that's you as an individual, your results are smaller. On the right, your results are smaller. But if you align with another and you mutually align and every goal is the same and you work at this together, the results could be amplified. So this is how you can create massive leverage throughout your life. And so what we're trying to do is find equal to like minds that we can connect with that are moving in the same direction in this world. And the world is going to open up in a unique way that God, or however you want to believe, will bring the right people into your life at the right time. This is why once you have a vision and a definite purpose going through this world, someone else is setting that same definite purpose at somewhere around the planet. And at some point, your paths are going to cross and you're going to align, and that momentum and that energy is going to take you to your goals faster than you could ever alone. So applied faith. This is the mental attitude wherein you may clear your mind of all fears and doubts and direct it to the attainment of whatever you desire in life. So there's a polarity right there that I talk about all the time, fear versus faith. Now, fear is on the left side, faith is on the right side. Both of these are not real. They're present thoughts that we hold in our mind. So we live in the past, the present, the future. Our thoughts in our conscious mind are happening right now in the present. And fear is the thoughts that we don't want to have happen in the future. Oh my gosh, what if I go broke? What if I go out of business? What if this person, screws me over, scams me, or leaves me, or whatever it is? And faith, those are the thoughts of the outcome of the positive side in the future that we want to attain. Oh my gosh, if I keep going this direction and push past my adversities, I'm going to have the house, the cars, the relationships, and all the good things, right? Now, in the middle between these two is risk. Risk is what holds us back. If we're too fearful that if we put time, money, or emotion into something that we don't have the faithful outcome, but we're going to have the fearful outcome, guess what's going to happen? We're not going to take the risks. We're not going to move forward. We're going to procrastinate. We're going to spin our wheels. We're going to do things every day that don't move us forward. And then we're going to blame anything and everything around us external. We're going to blame, government, the interest rates, the industry, brokerage, partners, family, friends, anything that we can blame externally to ourselves, but not internally, taking blame ourselves. This is why personal responsibility and internal blame are the most important things to get under control, because if it's everything around us' fault, then we can't change it. But if it's our fault and internally we can change this, we believe this, then we start to change, and then things around us start to change. So both are thoughts held in the present, but they're not real in the future. They're beliefs of outcomes in the future that could happen, but what we believe we act on with our action and our attitude. Okay. Now here's number 4, going the extra mile. Now I separated those by colors. Now, if you look at that, that's 7 days. Now let's say you're going to go 1 mile. Let's say Garth runs all the time. Donica runs all the time. What if you ran 1 mile and the other person ran 2 miles? They just want 1 extra mile every day. At the end of a week, look how far ahead you are compared to your competition. Look how closer you are to your goals if this was a race. Most of us are not where we want to go because we're not putting in the efforts. We're not planting the seeds and putting enough energy behind them. Just by putting in the extra effort, going the extra mile, rendering service more than what we need to do is going to get us to the finish line faster than we could have if we did not put that extra effort in. So once I realized this, you guys hear my story, and this was before social media really, I worked 1,100 days straight. My goal was to work 1,000 days straight. And the company that put me into debt, I put $35,000 up for a coaching company, and they actually had used clips from Napoleon Hill on stage and this type of stuff to get me into that selling process where they know people are going down this process. And I was super excited, so I was like, they're thinking just like me, and I'm going down this process of changing my life. And they gave me a one-on-one mentor, and they had me write down my goals. And I remember one of my goals was I'm going to work 1,000 days straight every day, because I realized the fastest way to my goals is to go every single day and to not take time off. And when I handed it to my mentor, who's supposed to be encouraging me, right, he said, that's good, but let's have something a little bit more realistic. And it pissed me off, because what he told me was he didn't believe he could do it himself, but I knew that I could do it. And so what I did was I proved him wrong. I woke up and I worked every day for the next week. And then my mind said, I can do it once, I can do it again. So I did it again. I worked every day, all day for the next 14 days. And then I did it for a month. And after I worked it every day, all day for a month, my mind says, well, I did it for a month, I could do it again. And then I did that for a year. Before I knew it, I'd worked 1,100 days straight. I got myself out of debt, and I built a successful business, and I was able to move forward in life and realize how to start having success in different areas, and how I can control my energy levels, my results, and everything just by the thought process. So don't let anybody ever tell you guys that you can't do something. That is why people back off, because others put fear in their mind that they would have had otherwise, and it increases the risk, and then you back off. You can do whatever you want to do. But if one runs 1 mile a day and the other one runs an extra mile, look how far you're going to get at the end of the week. And this is why our competition is getting further ahead of us. Someone out there is putting the extra mile in. And this is not just when it comes to results. This comes to how people look at you and come around you. You've heard this saying, first on, last off, meaning about sports. Show up before everybody else, leave after everybody else. When people see this type of discipline, this type of conviction, this type of energy moving forward, they want to move forward in life with you. They want to follow someone that's moving with a convicted energy. And we're an attraction-based business. People want to see someone that's moving with intent. Do you really want to get up and go to work with someone that doesn't show up every other week, or shows up only every other week, or shows up late and tries to figure out how to leave early? I mean, think about what most employees do. They're trying to figure out how to show up at 8:59 and leave at 5:01. What winners do is they show up at 4 a.m. and go to bed at midnight, right? And they do it until they can get to where they want, and as far as their goals and dreams. Now, pleasing personality. Now, Joe Dispenza, you guys, a lot of you guys follow him, will say our personality is made up of how we think, which directly causes how we feel and how we act. So once again, remember, we give the analogy. Let's say a bad April Fool's joke. Let's say Derek, I call him and I'm like, hey, guess what? Your best friend died in a car wreck. But it's not true. But at that moment, he believes it's true. The emotional involvement in the thought, how we think about it, is going to cause the body to change. He's going to start crying. He's going to start heaving. He's going to have the same reaction as if his best friend had actually died in a car wreck. Doesn't matter what's actually happened or not. Could be alive, could not be alive. But the belief that has happened causes him to feel that certain way. So the thought triggers a frequency or vibration in our body, shoots it through our body like a pitchfork, just like for musicians, when you hit that pitchfork, your body's going to vibrate on the frequency that our thoughts are making us feel. And then what do you think you're going to act, or how you're going to act? Do you feel good every day in your body because you're fearful, stressed out, anxious, and full of anxiety? Do you guys have higher energy levels? How fast or how hard do you act when towards your goals when you're not feeling good? You must sleep in every day, pull the covers over your head, wake up at 10. What if you feel excited about your goals? When you're fully excited, you believe things are going to happen the way that you think they're going to happen. You jump out of bed, you run to your goals. All that's triggered by the belief of what's going to happen in the future. You need to think about why you're feeling so tired and so sad and so frustrated every day. It's because the thoughts that you're thinking are allowing yourself to think. So how we act in our continuous action over time, how we act in our continuous action over time is actually going to be what creates our results in time. Now, personal initiative. This is what most people need to understand, that all winners have, and people that don't have personal initiative can create this. It's not something that is given to one and not to another. This is developed by the thought process inside of us. External motivation versus internal motivation. So why does Tony Robbins get paid $250,000 to do a speech? because he's trying to externally motivate people just enough to get them to go home and have a win that can now internally motivate them. So eventually, hopefully, he's trying to trigger the internal motivation process. But some have to have external motivation. They have to have a coach jumping on. They have to have a mentor, like an accountability coach. You'll never get to where you're trying to get to in life, guys, if you need an external motivation every day. You need to internally motivate yourself. If you cannot get up and run when you don't want to. And honestly, guys, today was a day I did not want to get up. I got up, and this whole presentation I did in 1 hour, by the way. So you guys need to realize, and I'm going to kind of give that example here in a second, which is my brain was telling me you don't have time to do this. Just go over the 17 principles, talk about them. Don't create a slide deck presentation. But I know that people are going to have to go back and watch this later. And so what I did was my brain was telling me, you can't do this in an hour. And I said, absolutely, I can do this in an hour. And I created this whole presentation that we're going to go through literally in 1 hour, typed it straight out. And that is where anything that you believe can be achieved, anything that you don't believe cannot be achieved. If I said that right. So the ability to wake up and choose your thoughts, believe in them, and act on them with excitement and energy daily. The trait that all high achievers have is they stay excited no matter what. Some can stay excited for a month. Others, a lot less of them, can stay excited for a year. The winners stay excited for years. In the elites, the ones that you guys see and want to be, they're excited for a lifetime. It does not matter the adversities or the problems or the struggles around them. All sorts of things can make us change our excitement level. Interest rates, company changing policies, partners pissing us off, family pissing us off, partners stealing from us, contractors. All sorts of things are going to pull at your belief system and thought process throughout the day. But if you adopt those and you act off those, you're going to lose your excitement. And if your excitement directly triggers your energy levels and you need your energy to accomplish action, and your action is what triggers results, we need to figure out how to control this, right? So you need to figure out how to stay excited in a non-exciting environment, which is what a recession is. Probably maybe even going into depression. I don't think we're going to go that far. But when things are tough externally around you, you need to find how to stay excited inside. You need to figure out how to control your excitement levels no matter what's going on around you. And it's like, what's the, can't even think of the book or movie, like A Perfect Life or something, with the guy, he's like in a concentration camp, or Beautiful Life or something like that. He was able to find the positive thought process, even though he's in one of the most horrific environments. You hear about some of these old war stories about people going off to war in tragic environments, but they were able to control their mindset, which was able to get them out and get back home to see their family. PMA, positive mental attitude. This is so crucial, guys. I had a negative mental attitude, and that negative mental attitude was what was driving people away from me in every single way. And all of us battle with this, and we're going to move in and out of cycles. So you're going to have positive mental attitudes throughout your life. You're never going to master this. This is not mastering it. There's no perfection. It is a controlling of this the best we can. So even when you're having good times and everything's rolling, the music's playing, you're going to get knocked out of that positive mental attitude no matter what. It is our ability to choose. Our conscious mind lets us choose our thoughts. So remember, our thoughts create our feelings. What we just talked about. If you believe someone's dead, but they're not actually, your feelings in your body are going to be what you are triggered by that thought. Now, what our feelings do is they cause our attitude. And our attitude causes our future results in life. Because what if we have a bad attitude? Do we run people away, or do we attract people to us? So if you're always a negative Nancy or Karen, right? Do you have a lot of friends, or do you have a lot of people running away from you as fast as they can? So you want to create a positive attitude. And once people see that you have a positive attitude in an environment when nobody else does, you're that lighthouse, you're a beacon of hope for them. You're someone that they want to be around. And when people feel good to be around you, they'll come around you. When people feel bad to be around you, they're going to run away from you. And this is, once again, attraction-based business. And business is about relationships. And so if you're always fighting with your title companies, you're always fighting with contractors, partners, how are those relationships going to work? And when it comes down to the deadline around a holiday window, and you need to get a transaction pushed through a title company, and you gave them bad attitude once, do you think they're going to have a good attitude trying to push you through at the last second? Or are they going to say, I have to leave town a little bit earlier. I need to go. I don't have to be here. Do you know how many things in my life were done or how many goals were hit, or things that had deadlines done where people did things for me that they would not normally do for me, because I treated them with respect and I had a right attitude around them. Whereas if I hadn't have done these things up until this moment, with these relationships, when that crunch time happened, they would not have done that, right? So start thinking, who's in your life? How are you treating them? How are you acting around them? And what is your attitude around them? And then you can probably see why some are staying around, some are running. Enthusiasm. Your level of enthusiasm directly relates to how you act and how others will act around you. Very similar to what we're talking about. But when you guys see like someone like a Brent Gove, right? He's mass enthusiasm. I remember one time I was coming up and I hear Kinder's speech, and he was talking about how he can over enthusiasm itself out of anything. Meaning, if you're excited, you're going to get people behind you. Most people don't come and work with you guys if you're trying to attract them because they don't see you're excited about what you're selling. If they don't see that the product, service, or opportunity that you're selling, you're excited about, how can they get excited about it? When we're communicating in sales, we are not saying words. We're transferring energy to someone. It doesn't even matter what you're saying. You're transferring emotion. If they can tell that you're excited about the opportunity, excited about what you're selling, that product, service, or opportunity, that's going to transfer to them. So think about the people that you guys follow. Social media and all sorts of different people. Are they highly charged with enthusiasm? Are their emotions strong? Or are they really emotionless? Are they just kind of going through the motions? And so you cannot rally the troops. You cannot rally the team. You cannot get people to go the direction that you're trying to go without enthusiasm. So enthusiasm is the energy force that makes us move and makes others move with us. No one's going to do anything big in life without strong enthusiasm behind what they're doing or without self-discipline. This is the things that we do when nobody else is watching, the sacrifices that we make, even though people cannot see this. So can you sacrifice the things you want today for what you dream about to have your dreams come true tomorrow? And so the question I used to ask myself and always ask myself is, if people saw that things that I did behind the scenes, as far as my work ethic, the goals that I'm achieving, the actions I take, if they actually saw what I did, would they actually follow me? Many people are so fixated on the illusion, the fakeness out there, the social media posts. They want to pretend that something is the way it is, but the reality is behind the scenes, it's not the way it is, right? They're all so perfect out there. It's like that meme out there. It's like a hibachi dinner, and you got the family fighting, kids and parents are fighting left and right. And then the dude takes a picture and they smile. And it's like the happy family. And then as soon as the picture's over, they go back to fighting. People are more concerned about the illusion that they're painting in public so that people buy the illusion than the actual results or the things that they're doing behind the scenes. There are people out there that are more concerned with having social media likes and followers than actually dollars in their bank account. They would rather have a bigger presence on the internet pretending to be successful than actually doing the things behind the scenes that create success itself. So discipline of thoughts we allow ourselves to think. Can we control our thoughts? Because if you can't control your thoughts, you can't control your future. You will never show up where you want to go without the thought process control on the front side. Discipline of attitude we bring to the world. When bad things happen and people are trying to fight with us and screw us over, scam us and steal us, how do we control attitude that we don't take the problems in one area of our life and bring that attitude to other areas of our life and compound that problem? So problems are necessary, and good guys, you will have problems throughout your life. It is okay to have problems. But what's not okay is to take one problem and compound it into other problems. And how many compounded problems that you guys have in relationship to the problems that come to you initially directly relate to how fast you get your goals and financially, the relationships in all areas of your life. So we need to have discipline, both our mental and physical actions. We need to keep our physical body in check. And we also need to keep our mindset in check because they both relate to each other. And when we control our mind and we control our body, they control our future, and it gives us the future that we want. Now, accurate thinking, what we believe we feel. Once again, if I'm looking over the cliff and I feel that it's too dangerous to jump because I don't know what's down there, the risk is too high. Or the same analogy I just gave you guys about, believing something's happening that's not. What if we truly believe something's happening that's not? I gave last week an example where I thought someone stole the ring that I bought for myself when I won my first online tournament. I literally thought that they stole my ring. Now, what if I'd acted on that? Because I believed that thought. I felt that they did that to me. I felt angry. I felt pissed off. I was going to challenge them. I was going to go and act on that thought. So I was about to act on it. Thankfully, I found my ring, because what if I had acted on it? I would have destroyed a relationship. I would have embarrassed myself, and I would look like a fool. And it would have all been because of inaccurate thinking. So if you have inaccurate thinking, you can attract the future. If you have inaccurate thinking, you attract the future you are thinking about, which is the pain and the suffering. How many things do we fear that don't actually come true? How many times do we stress ourselves out about a deal that we thought was going to fall apart, or a client that wasn't going to choose us, or something like that, and then actually end up happening? So I can tell you many, many times where I panicked and stressed about a deal not going through, and then it did. And then I look back and I was like, why did I do that? I worried myself sick. I caused myself all these problems. I distracted myself from the actions I could take on a daily basis. And all that wasted time, if I put that time as a better seed into my business, I'd be farther along. So think about all the things that you're worrying about and fearful about. It's going to happen or it's not going to happen. At least don't worry about it. Believe that it's going to happen, but take that time that you spend worrying and put it back in your business. How many relationships have been destroyed because of one believes something was happening that wasn't actually happening, like someone's cheating or having an affair? I can tell you of numerous situations where I know this has happened to people where one party believed the other one was unethical, and it wasn't the case, and it destroyed the relationship anyways. The belief, the inaccurate thinking can cause problems, right? If you believe you can. And if you believe your limiting beliefs, you can't. So if you believe you need to be educated, or you need you don't have any money, or don't have any time, or you have a family that's holding you back, or you have a job, all these limiting beliefs that we know are so common, if you believe that these are holding you back, that is what's going to hold you back. But if you believe that these are nothing, and these are not the limitations holding you back, that everybody around you that you see this overcome these, then you're going to push past that, right? Controlled attention, the ability to focus, the ability to maintain focus on a desired outcome or future goal for long enough. So it's easy to have focus on something we want in the short term when we're excited about it. But what if we lose excitement, right? Then it goes away. The controlled attention, we need this over a sustained period of time, because believing it can happen for long enough that you put enough action or energy behind it for long enough, this leads you to have the result of having it. Many people start something for a few months. It's like planting a seed, and then they're all excited about it. And then adversity kicks in, which happens in anything and everything we do. And then what do they want to do? They want to go dig up the ground and make sure that seed's still growing, right? Make sure it's actually not dead. And then they dig it up and they realize it's actually sprouting, about to come through the soil and actually about to manifest. Instead, they killed it themselves. It is growing, guys. The efforts that you put in, all the things you're doing, the efforts that you take daily in your business, they're compounding and growing. But you have to keep the attention and keep watering the seed. You have to keep, feeding the nutrients to the garden. Many people try things for 3-6 months and then give up. And it's kind of crazy to me. I've seen so many people quit things within 6 months of all sorts of different things throughout my life. Yet they went to college for 5 years. They went to college for 5 years and put up all that money to help someone else's goals and dreams come true, to come out and work for somebody else. But when they start their own goals and dreams and their own future that they want to have for themselves and their own future, their own personal destiny, and the life that they know they can actually have, they give up within 3 to 6 months because of a couple adversities. How does that work? You're going to go through all that for someone else's goals, but not your own? And success takes a while, guys. It took me 3-4 years of struggle and failure and heartache and doubting myself the whole way and wanting to quit the whole way. It's not a quick process, but it's a forever process. You only have to become successful one time. And there's endless reset buttons. If you fail, start over. If you fail, start over. If you fail, start over. Eventually, you won't fail. You can't fail forever. And some of you guys have goals and dreams that you want to achieve, but you're never going to push hard enough to get there. And for one day, I just realized, like, what's the worst thing that happens if I go for it and fail? I'm already failing. I have nothing already. I don't have what I want already. I'm already failing. So what's the worst thing to go? Put it all on the line. All my time, all my energy, all my focus, everything in me, every dollar, put it all on the line. I did. Every dollar I borrow, every dollar I could squeak out of someone, I put it all on the line. It played out. But you got to go for it. You got to leave it on the field, guys. Teamwork. Not going to spend a lot of time on this. We all understand that. The wolf pack, the mentality behind it, run together, win together. We can go further as a pack than we could ever as lone wolves. You need to have people on your team, people in your life personally, people in your whatever business you're having. If you're going to be running like a flipping business, some of you guys are going to the Wolfpack Investing Mastermind. You're going to need contractor teams. Some of you guys need teams of virtual assistants. Some of you guys need we need a team. Obviously, you're going to build RevShare. You need employees, right? You cannot build something big on your own. There is no such thing as a solopreneur. This is what the big illusion is. And so that book that was like 4-Hour Workweek, it's got some principles in it that can be applied, but it's really kind of one of the most, to me, it's one of the dumbest books ever written, honestly, with the principle behind it. Because let's say that's your true entrepreneur. Let's say you had 100 hours worth of work a week and you were able to systematize and get it all down to 4 hours a week. Do you just live on the beach now and work 4 hours a week? No, you fill it in with another 96 hours. If you truly want a big life and big goals and big dreams, you fill it in with the next goal and the next goal after that, and the things that you're going to do for not just yourself, but the future of your family and the country. So you figure out your own problems, then you figure out how to fix your own problems for your life and your personal family, then your community. Then hopefully you get big enough that you can do this for your state, your country, and then the world, hopefully. And some of you guys can change the world. You guys have plenty of time. And if you believe you can, you will. And some of you guys, I hope, have that goal that's big enough. And so people ask, how does someone become number one in the world? They put a goal on pen and paper and say, I'm going to do it. And they believe they can do it and act off of it. But if you guys believe you can only get to $100,000 a year, that's what you're working for. So your mind's going to fill the gap of whatever you're trying to achieve. So some of you guys, you hear like, how you got to think big and plan big. Your mind is uniquely designed to fill the goal that's chasing. So if you're trying to make $100,000 a year, your mind is only going to figure out how to make $100,000 a year. If it's trying to figure out how to make $1 million a year, it's going to bypass the things that would only get you to 100,000 a year and put those on the side. It's going to start figuring out bigger, more creative thought processes to get you to $1 million a year. You have to have the goal in sight ahead of time. It's the destination. It's the GPS point that you're going to. Now, adversity and defeat. Your thoughts about yourself and your results when going through failures and adversity. lead to the future in which you show up in. There's two different thought processes. Some think adversity and defeat is, oh my gosh, I failed at this. I'm going to fail at everything I do going forward. And they never stand up again. They have one bad defeat. They get divorced and they never get married again. They start one bad business and they never start again because it hurts so bad. Others say, I learned something from the first defeat that I'm going to take forward to the next one. I may get defeated again. I may lose the next fight, but I'm going to learn something from that fight. I may get punched in the face, break my wrist, break my nose, but I'm going to learn something that when I do fight for the championship, I hold the belt. You take your adversities and defeats to build off of them, to build strength within you, that you go forward and build what you're actually trying to accomplish. So adversity, guys, is a part of the process. You are not strong enough to lift the weight now. So if my dad wanted to, when I could only lift 100 pounds, put 300 pounds in the bench press, I couldn't lift it. Why would he do that? I would never be able to lift that weight. But if I failed at 100, I broke down my muscles and I came back and I could lift 105. And if I failed again and slowly went through this process in and out, then I can get to 115, 120, 130. And if I do this for long enough, I'm strong enough to lift 300 at some point. So understand that these failures are building your strength today, slowly, but building off of the problems and adversities of yesterday, that at some point you can have the problems that you can hold in the future. So adversity and defeat, guys, is this strategic understanding of how we grow ourselves. And how we grow ourselves is a combination of breaking down resistance, pushing against something that we can't hold today, through repetition, doing it over and over and over, so that our body rebuilds itself mentally or physically, that we can lift that weight tomorrow. Create a vision. Our thoughts create a picture in the mind. We call this visualization. So if we can see it, we can paint it. But if you cannot see it in the mind, you cannot have it in the real world. Nobody put a painting on paper without seeing it visually in the mind first. You cannot have a Mona Lisa or any like a Leonardo, like a Van Gogh or any of these. All those famous paintings, they saw the picture in the mind and they painted it with their paintbrush. So what do you want in the future, guys? Our thoughts are the paintbrush of our future. Literally, the thoughts you think today are the brush strokes that are painting the future life that you're going to have. You cannot show up in a future that you do not see in the mind first. So why do we write our goals down pen and paper? You hear this all the time and nobody wants to do it. What you're doing is you're taking in physical form as you're writing down, let's say whatever you're writing in your goal on pen and paper. Your brain cannot not think about what you're writing. Just think about that. Go write a sentence. You have to think about what you're writing as you're writing it. Now you're writing it down in physical form. This is creating an imprint on the backside of your unconscious mind. And what's happening is just creating the visualization process. So if I'm writing down, the cat sat on the couch. Okay. Well, how defined do I want my goal? The fat black cat sat on the couch. What about the fat orange and yellow cat sat on the couch? As you write the words on pen and paper, as you write your goals and define what you want in the future, you're writing down, you're creating the picture in the mind. It's the visualization process. Now you can see it. Now you can emotionally involve in it. Now you can act off that emotional involvement in it for long enough. And if you don't lose your excitement around it and you fight through the adversities and go through, you will show up at some point with what you're thinking about and pushing towards. Now, health. We went over this, when was it, a couple of weeks ago? We did the health call with all the different ways that our physical body directly relates to our income, but we need to have both. So what are we actually? We're a combination of a mind and a body. We are both, and both need to work in harmony with each other. So we can't just work on our mindset, guys, and work on our intelligence and our education. We have to work on a physical body. And if you have one that's off and the other one's not aligned with it, you're not going to have the optimal results that you're trying to get. So the secret to life and having what you want is to build the mind and build the body both throughout the life continuously. And I said continuously because whatever you don't use, you lose. So what if I lift weights with one arm but not the other one? I look like Popeye, right? Jacked one arm but not the other one. What if I worked out with both of them and then I just stopped working out with one? Same thing. One is going to have regression. And so when you look at the understanding of how our bodies work, we all get this. We can go to the gym for a year or two straight and get in great shape, but if we stop, we lose it. But very few people think about that as in a kind of how it aligns with the mental side. You see people, they're like, I read 20 books one time, like 5 years ago. What about last year? What about right now? What are you reading right now? Your mind has a six-pack too. It works just like your physical body. If you are not constantly feeding it, constantly, continuously building it, you'll lose what you do not use. How many of you guys can go take an algebra test and pass it like you did in high school? You guys even remember what algebra is? Calculus, all these things. You knew it at the time. You figured out how to pass the class at the time. Guarantee you could not pass it right now because you're not focusing on it. You're not watering those thought processes, the skill sets around those. So you have to understand that this personal education self-growth is a continuous effort throughout your life. And what happens is a lot of people start down this process. They water the garden for 6 months and then they stop. And then they wonder why the results stop. It is a continuous process. Budgeting time and money. So I'm going to add a third one there, emotions. So these are the 3 expenses we have in life that we have to understand how, and also have to understand other people understand these and how they look at life and how they apply their energy and actions in life around these. So time and money, we have a limitation of both, but the one that we can't recreate is time. So time is the most important thing that we have. And if you guys want to attract super successful people into your life or sell something to a super expensive person, they've got all the money in the world. You hear me talk about time and emotions. How do you get into their life as far as mentors and proximity relationships? Figure out how to save them time or save them money or save them stress. And that's when I'll tell you the story about how I found my first mentors where I offered to work for them for free. So I was helping save time, taking stress off their plate. It got me into a relationship with them. And that's where I started having breakthroughs in my life. So the secret to sales, guys, down there at the bottom, these are the 3 things that we sell. This doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're selling. We sell products, services, and opportunities, but we live in the past, the present, the future. Past has already happened. Present we're living in right now. And that's what we're using to sell the future. So we have someone's hopefully conscious thought right now that we have the ability to influence by the words that we say. And what we're trying to do is say in the future that if you buy my product or you buy my service or you join my opportunity, it's going to be better in one of these 3 areas, hopefully all 3 of these. So if I can say, hey, for Uber, for example, they can say that it's going to save you time, but not money, but they're going to say it's going to save you time if they send Uber Eats to your house. So you're trading your money to buy your time back. So they're saying with the present, if you use our service, we're going to give you time back. So whatever it is, we're selling these 3 things right here. So when you guys are trying to get the result that you want, you need to understand that people are making decisions off the future outcome in one of these 3 areas. And if you can't paint the picture that they're going to either save time, money, or emotions and better their life in one of these 3 areas, they will not convert to anything that you're trying to sell. It will never happen. They're going to stay where they're at. They're going to not buy a product. They're not going to use it as a listing agent. So if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to get your house, if they believe that Amanda's going to get the house sold faster and for a higher price point than the other agent, they're going to hire her. So you're selling the future outcome is what you're selling. So we use our words in the present to sell the future outcome in these 3 areas. And then our habits. Show me your habits. I'll show you your future. Our habits make up the majority of our actions on a daily basis through our unconscious mind. So we're a construct of our paradigms. And so if you guys, Bob Proctor's, Earl Nightingale, these are really great individuals to follow as well. But basically, we're a construct of our habits. You don't wake up and like when you guys tie your shoes, do you have to tell yourself, make the loop, do the bunny ears or whatever it is? No, it's unconscious. You just do it. When you're brushing your teeth, do you have to tell yourself, brush this tooth, that tooth, that tooth? No. Every single thing that for the most part that we're doing through our day, the majority of it, over 90% of our actions are unconscious and they're through habitual natures, the habitual nature of how we're doing it. So our habits directly result in the outcomes that we're having because this is what we're doing on a daily basis. So right there at the bottom, you are all chasing future results. So start by looking at and changing your habits first. And to change your habits, you have to change your thoughts. So the first thing is you have to have the awareness that you have bad habits. And sometimes we don't know that we have bad habits. And sometimes we need to put each other on blast. Sometimes we need to put ourselves on blast because we'll never change if we don't realize we need to change. So the first thing is we have the awareness that we have a habit that we want to change. And then we create a plan to change it and write that plan on pen and paper. And we go out and we attempt to do it over and over and over until we change that habit. Okay. And then Napoleon, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you memorize these, Napoleon Hill's principles of success, if you memorize these guys and live by them, you'll have anything you want a decade from now. The house, the cars, the vacations, the family, anything that you guys want, you can have it. It's not a quick process. You could actually have it sooner. Some of these could be done in 3-5 years, depends on what goals you want. But I truly believe, and I believed this a decade ago, that I could have anything I wanted. And now I can pretty much get financially, at least, things I want. Now there's other areas of my life I'm working on, but I have a process to go through that as well. But you need to figure out what you want today to show up in that future tomorrow. And I promise you 10 years ago is going to go by quickly. And it can actually happen faster than this, but I promise you it can happen within a decade. So I'm going to leave it with that. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.